What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Rec Talk. Looks like it's about to come out raining all of a sudden. But you know what? I've kind of been in the habit of uploading daily or every other day, and I didn't see any reason to break that. And the genesis of this video is, Romello Height going to Texas Tech. Evidently, Texas Tech has gotten a bunch of money in their NIL collective, and they were able to get Romello Height. Now, Romello Height was a productive player for Tech and everything, but that ain't the point of this. The point is, and I get that the Barstool accounts are like just making fun of stuff, and it's kind of lighthearted, but Barstool Texas Tech called Georgia Tech basically a poverty, broke, bankrupt program. Kind of like they're calling us kind of like what Kelly Quinlan probably is. If you're not in the Georgia Tech circle, Kelly Quinlan is a absolute reject of a journalist, which, if you didn't know, is e-begging right now. That's right. Journalist has jackets online that has so many record subscribers, but Kelly Quinlan has started a GoFundMe page because he wants you to give him a birthday gift. He's literally e-begging people, so take that into consideration. But Texas Tech, Barstool Texas Tech, says that we're they're just rich and we're poor. And I basically said, well, if you're so rich, why don't you pay Mike Leach the money that you stole from him? And I didn't misspeak. The money that you stole from him. If you don't know who Mike Leach is, you might just need to unsubscribe if you're subscribed, or just I keep watching the video. Mike Leach is an absolute treasure of coaching, a man that in football press conferences talked about Geronimo, Bigfoot, different dinosaurs, and halftime talks. Like, didn't want to talk about football, talked about what his favorite Halloween candies was. If you haven't seen his video on marriage and what the whole process of getting married is like, you should most definitely watch that. But, we all love him for his quirkiness, but also an absolute pioneer in the world of college football. Basically pioneered the air raid offense, was an OC at Oklahoma. Did a bait and switch when I think they played Texas, who was much better at the time, and basically left a fake playbook on the sideline for them to get, and they used it, and he burned them with it. I think they ended up losing that game, but I haven't met anyone that doesn't like Mike Leach. And that's why you should hate Texas Tech. I hope the worst for Texas Tech's program until they pay him what they owed. Why do they owe him money? Well, you clicked on the right video. So when Mike Leach took over a program in Texas Tech that no one ever gave a crap about, they were like the fifth best team in their own state, and turned them into 9-10 win programs. Like Michael Crabtree played for them, like set records, and basically took players that no one really saw value in and produced them into hell of a football players. So I think the guy's name was Craig James. He's an ESPN reporter, or ESPN personality. I don't know exactly what his role in ESPN was, but he was a powerful guy. He had some sway. His son played for Mike Leach, wide receiver. I think his name was Adam James. Now, keep in mind that Mike Leach took a program that was never good and made him really good. Well, Adam James, this guy's son, who's a wide receiver for Mike Leach at Texas Tech, shows up with like his hat backwards in street clothes, basically like I am right now. He just showed up to practice like I am right now. And Mike Leach is like, hey, what the hell's going on with Adam James over here? Doctor said he had a concussion. And this is where there's two series of stories, one of which we can say is untrue. definitively. One version, Adam James and Craig James' story, is that Mike Leach was just a complete a-hole and locked him in a very small storage shed. It was hot, he was like getting dehydrated, and he was forced to stand in this small storage shed for the entire 3-4 hour practice or whatever. They ended up telling the school about this. Craig James hired a PR firm to get his narrative out about what happened. Mike Leach is approached by Texas Tech, who, the rumor was they were wanting to fire him anyways. I guess that they had tasted what winning felt like for the first time in forever and thought they were too big for their britches, too good for Mike Leach. And they were looking for a reason, basically to fire him for cause, so they didn't have to pay out the remaining 4 years of his contract. So they bring Mike Leach in and basically say, look, you need to sign this paper that says basically you're wrong in this situation, which would just give them the ability to fire them. That would be the equivalent of going to an interrogation with the police and signing a confession. And maybe Texas Tech doesn't know this, and maybe you don't either. Mike Leach has a Juris Doctor. That's right, he has a law degree. He has the ability to practice law. So not only is he not a dummy, he knows the law. Texas Tech was dumb enough to try and hamstring a guy into signing basically a confession so that they could fire him without cause when he literally is a lawyer, has a law degree. Just so happens to be a heck of a football coach too. Well, Mike Leach says, hell no, I'm not signing that. I didn't do anything wrong. Now, Mike Leach's version of the story is basically, he's like, well, let's take him into an area out of the light. Evidently, he's sensitive to light. So let's get him out of the light, get him somewhere, cool, air conditioned where he can chill. Now the story, the truth doesn't lie in the middle of that. I don't think Mike Leach was necessarily that accommodating. But I am more apt to believe Mike Leach's version of the story. Why? Well, first of all, they fired Mike Leach for cause. They fired him. They did not. He still had a bowl game to coach in. They didn't pay him for that. He literally had to file for an injunctive relief to try and coach the bowl game. That was denied. And then they didn't pay him any of his buyout. So Mike Leach literally has to sue Texas Tech to get his money back. In deposition, this is why I believe Mike Leach's version of the story. In deposition, Adam James literally said, I lied. Yeah, I made that up. Mike Leach never made me do that. I thought it would be funny to lie about Mike Leach and get him fired, I guess. He said, me and my dad share the same, I guess, sick sense of humor where we lie in order to get someone fired. Now, the weird thing is, like I said, Texas Tech was kind of wanting to fire him anyways, and it's just such an odd coincidence that happens whilst, there's heat of them wanting to fire him. So he literally admits that he lied. And so Mike Leach is still not able to get relief. It turns out, isn't this something? You got to love the government, don't you? Because Texas Tech's a state university. It turns out Texas is the only state in the union that basically they can break a contract, any contract they want with anyone, by claiming basically immunity, sovereign immunity or whatever it is. They can claim, yep, we're the government, we don't have to pay you. Now you have to abide by your contract, but we can break their contract with Mike Leach. And to this day, Mike Leach is now dead, has never been paid the money he is owed, even though the reason he was fired, there are court records verifying it was a flat out and out lie. So I hope Texas Tech loses every football game until they pay them that money. I mean, coming back full circle, if you have all this money to be throwing around and buying players, why can't you make things right with Mike Leach's family? Why don't you, if you got all this money, just pay his family what you owed in his contract. This man's one of the most beloved coaches of all time. Something tells me that you won't do it, though, because you're a piece of crap university. I don't even like Pat Mahomes. Screw Pat Mahomes. He's from Texas Tech. Does anyone even like the Chiefs? No. They get the benefit of every call in the NFL known to man. Even in the NFL, people associated with that school are screwing people out of what to do to them. So I just thought I'd come on here and tell y'all that. The hell with Texas Tech. You're absolute pieces of garbage for literally stealing from the most beloved coach of all time in Mike Leach. And I hope you get what's coming to you. Have a good one.